Suntem la cea de-a 11-a ediție a conferinței naționale ALB și vorbim acum cu domnul Richard Ryan despre digitalizarea, era digitală și cum se adaptează companiile de servicii financiare nebancare la această eră digitală. Welcome, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here in Bucharest, and I think we had a good conference today. I very much enjoyed being here. Thank you to ALB and the sponsors, and to Adriana for inviting me over here.
Was this your first time in Bucharest for the ALB conference?
Yes, it's my first time in Bucharest at INVIGORS. We attend a number of conferences, including the Lease Europe conference each year, but no, this is the first time we've attended the ALB one in Bucharest, and very enjoyable it was too.
You've had a very nice presentation and very actual, to say so, very well related to the actual context. How does the digitalization influence the consumer credit market?
Well, the theme of my presentation was that digitalisation is influencing the consumer credit market in a number of different ways. There's a number of drivers there that's affecting this: the competition, the customer expectations, the costs, and you can see how digitalisation is affecting the entire value chain, right away from the customer experience with the rise of mobility and mobility apps, obviously something that's well developed, right the way down through to integration of systems, integration of platforms, through to the new business models that digitalisation is enabling, such as peer-to-peer, and all the way down to the infrastructure as well. Because while we may think that our infrastructure in banking or consumer credit is already fairly well digitalised, there are some trends and some new technologies, such as blockchain, that could well transform the way in which we do business today.
What would be the strategy that you would recommend to those companies that want to adapt to this new era?
Okay, well, obviously, in terms of dealing with the customers, then they have to adapt a multi-channel strategy. These days, consumers wish to interact with their bank or their consumer credit organisation, whether it's online, through their mobile, through a call centre, or through a branch even. And it's important that consumer credit companies do focus their attention to ensure that whatever channel their customers wish to interact with them, then they're able to do so.
How exactly has the customer's way of interaction with the creditors changed due to digitalization?
Well, we're seeing, of course, the rise of Generation Y, the young millennials, those born around the year 2000. And as I mentioned in my presentation, these are the always connected, the always on generation. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and if I wish to interact with her, then it's no point in picking up my telephone. I have to go onto WhatsApp. By the same token, it's important that consumer credit companies are able to interact with their younger consumers by mobile apps. On the other hand, they shouldn't forget their older consumers as well, their older customers, who will need the more consultative sell that's available in a branch.
Well, we're speaking about big changes in this era. So what are the main challenges that the companies have to face when adapting to this new technology era?
I think companies have many challenges, not least of which many are still saddled with legacy systems, and they need to be able to develop new and exciting apps, new applications that work off those legacy systems. So the ability to put in place open APIs is going to be quite important there. There's the challenges of regulation, of course, which came out this afternoon, and we can see the impact of areas such as social media and the impact that has for consumer credit information, the impact that has for the credit worthiness, assessment of credit worthiness of consumers, and also how that gets reflected in regulation too.
And I would end with a question regarding more the Romanian market. How many of the new business models that you have spoken about in your presentations are applied to the Romanian consumer credit market?
I think they all do. There's no doubt about it that a lot of the Romanian players are well established or have underway developments around mobility, so that they're able to to service their customers using mobile apps. That is already well established. I'm sure, looking for some of the nods around the room, that many have issues with legacy systems. That's bound to be the case. And I think too, if we look at some of the new business models, peer-to-peer lending, for example. Okay, that started in the US and the UK, but it's developing already in Western Europe, and I expect that to come to Romania too. And clearly, talking to the lady who presented on regulation, there are some significant regulatory issues around that. So yeah, there's no doubt about it that the Romanian market is changing, the Romanian consumers changing as they are elsewhere in Europe, and all those challenges and issues will apply.
The truth is that there's no other way. So digitalization is here in Romania as well, and the path is only this.
Yes, absolutely. As I close with my presentation, why worry about it? Well, yes, you have to digitalise. You're going to be driven to it by your customers, by your competitors, and if you don't digitalise, then somebody else will. And it may be a Google or Apple or some unknown player that you haven't seen before. But yeah, that's coming to Romania as well.
Mr. Ryan, thank you very much for this interview, and thank you very much for being here with us. Hope to see you again in Romania, in Bucharest, and for ALB conference.
Yes, thank you very much. I really enjoyed my stay here and enjoyed the conference, and we'll no doubt we'll be back again next year.